Hey mages, Happy New Year and welcome to the first MTG Arena video of the year from yours truly, Total MTG. Today we're going to be looking at some really cool fun decks. I wanted to start the year off with some different decks. So this list is rogue decks, off-meta decks, however you want to call them. They still get really good percentages. They've been doing well, getting some 5-0 lists and stuff like that. So I've sourced around for some really fun decks, just in case you want to play something a bit different, start off the new year rather than playing your usual mono red or something like that. A bit like me that, was just using mono red on the ladder. No qualms to anyone doing that. It's a quick way, an easy way to rank up in it. But these are decks that if you just want to give something else a try. So if you've got like the wild cards, give them a try. I really would suggest it. They're a lot of fun from the ones that I've played so far. So without further ado, let's take a look at the first deck. So the first deck we have is a really cool token spamming Devilish Valet deck. It's in the colours of Naya, so red, green and white. Based mainly around Devilish Valet. If you're not going wide with your tokens to win that way, this is your win con. It has Trample and Haste, this Devil Warrior for 3 mana. Whenever a other creature enters the battlefield under control, you get to double its power until end of turn. The Trample is brilliant for this, but what you need to make this work is a lot of tokens. So, Song of Toad and Taz makes black right tokens. They can't block, but they can come down with haste as well, so adds to that potential one-shot attack win, which is what I've done with this. You really can do that. Also then, Awaken the Woods can make Forest Dryad land tokens. Get this in there, spam it, make loads of tokens. Even if you just go wide, this is still very, very good. It's just, a very, very different deck from what I've seen played. I've come across it a couple of times, but very, very rarely have I seen this deck played. Now, what's good with tokens? Of course, Ogier attack. So if one or more tokens will be created, create 3 times that many tokens. You can imagine all these tokens coming in, and then if your Devilish Valet's on there and this opponent is just, no removal ready, they're tapped out, you just spam those tokens and then you just think, well, it's a 1-3. We know it can get big, but how big can it actually get? It can actually get huge. It really, really can. It's a real fun deck, this one. Blossoming Tortoise, that can give land creatures +1/1. Mill cards, return land cards back to the battlefield as well. It does run a very, a plethora of lands because we are 3 colours. We're Naya. So you've got your Jetmirs, you've got a single Demolition, Copperline, Rottweils. These are all singles of as well, though. So it still runs its fair amount of basics. 8 forests, 3 mountains and 3 plains. So while, there's a lot of rares mainly in the main, the land base is a little bit easier for you. Moonshaker Cavalry, 6/6. When it enters the battlefield, creatures you control get flying and plus XX until end of turn, where X is the number of creatures. Well, that's your second win con. Drop in this big Moonshaker. Games that are going out long. If you can't get there by spamming loads of tokens and winning with the Valet pretty quick, then the Moonshaker can come down like that behemoth and just give everything flying and just basically just win the game if it's left untouched as well. You're seeing I'm saying a lot of left untouched because the amount of removal in standard is mental, isn't it? It really, really is. But still, this is a really good deck. Explosive, can just really take off and win from nowhere. Different ways to win as well. Like I said, going wide with tokens, getting your Valet for a big stomp win, or Moonshaker at the end when it's been a long game and then just getting down with that. Mention a few other cards in the deck. Ramp out with Temporary Stomper because you need a bit of ramp because you want to make loads of tokens as well. We also have Tribute to the World Tree in there. When it enters the battlefield under control, draw a card with power 3 or greater. Otherwise, put 2/1/1 counters on it. So another way to build up potential draw cards. And then we have our own wipe. We're talking of potential of all the wipes that could be hitting you. White Sun's Twilight is ours because it can leave us with lots of tokens and we can gain life. And there is another win con, as we know White Sun's Twilight is. So a very versatile deck that has multiple ways to win. I do really like the Naya Valet deck, and if you've got the cast, give it a go. It's a real fun deck. Now going to a different type of deck now. This is mono white control, and I love playing mono white control. At one time it was really prevalent in standard, but now it's not really seen as much. But this build here is super fun, built around playing with gnomes and everything like that. Thousand Moon Smithy. When it enters the battlefield, create a white gnome creature artifact token. This power and tough is equal to the number of artifacts and creatures you control. So we do have a fair few of them in there, and then you do eventually get to flip there. So sort of token-esque based. We do have tokens in there. We've got Eternal Wanderer that can make the Samurai token, the double striker. We've got the Wandering Emperor, great for removal, exiling, making samurais, or just, enhances someone's power or something like that. And then we have cards that we're going to be putting in there like Market Gnome and Artifact. Great early blocker against the mono red decks. Ability to gain a life and draw a card. Gain 1 life and draw a card when it enters. When it dies. Very good. And we've got lots of ways here to sort of stall for the early game. We've got Ambitious Farmhand that can come in, act as a great blocker, and then ramp us up into getting that land into hand. And then, well, not ramp us up, but siphon the deck to get the land into hand if you're stuck. And then Clay-Fired Bricks. Ends the battlefield, search your life for basic planes, gaining 2 life. So this deck is really trying to combat against the very, there's so many aggro decks around. Mono red is really good. Even the Gruul deck, mono white aggro as well. This can help you stay in the game. We've got the life gain at the top, and then we've got removal like Get Lost. Some people like this, some people don't. But it does help to destroy enchantments, which is why I think it's seeing a lot of play at the moment. The 2 map tokens obviously do help your opponent out, but they need the creature on the field to start with. So if they don't have the creature in there, we've got removal like Lay Down Arms as well, and Dust Rose Reliquary that can deal with the creatures. So then they just might be left with those tokens. But the gaining 2 life, the Get Lost, the ability to get rid of enchantments in this is just really good, and I think it's a decent card myself. Let me know what you think of that one, because I've seen a lot of discourse about that one over on the socials. More types of artifacts. We've got Iron Crag in there, early bit of ramp. We've also got the Celestus that can really help gain life and draw cards as well. And then a secret little card here, the Realmbreaker Invasion Tree. Target opponent mills 3 cards. This is a secret little win. It's in there as a one-of. But after playing this deck, I feel like I'd want to add another one just because I've milled opponents out. You're really stalling games off. You've got your Sunfalls, you've got your Farewell, you've got lots of removal in this one. Like I said, the amount of removal in standard, the amount of removal in white in standard is unbelievable. We're not even running Depopulate in this, but, where would you fit it in with all the rest of the removal? It's just a really good control deck, and it's a different control deck, so no counter spells, nothing like that. It's just more mass removal, and then winning with some cool cards like Thousand Moose Smithy, and then potential a Realmbreaker win. So land base, very simple in this one. Has 13 planes, 4 Myrics, and an Iganju. 18 lands in this control deck. It's insane, but it got a 5-0 win. Now, do you think that's enough? I've played it. It still works. You've got your ramp with the Iron Crag, ramp with Celestus. Find those lands here with the Ambitious as well. It really does help. Clay-Fired Bricks is another way to get the land into your hand as well. So even with a couple of lands in hand, if you've got any of these, you do get the required lands you need. It's an interesting deck with the amount of land base, and that's what makes it a real cool Rogue Brew. Now, this Rogue Brew is a Caves deck. I haven't got some of the cards here, so I've not managed to test this myself, but I saw it getting 5-0 lists. This is a really interesting deck to me. Plays Arcane Bombardment, so big mana creatures in this. Big mana creatures and big mana cards. Arcane Bombardment is a 6 mana enchantment, so when you cast your first instant or sorcery spell each turn, exile a random card from your graveyard and instant or sorcery, then copy it, exile with the Arcane Bombardment. You may cast any number of copies without paying their mana cost. Cool card. Rebuild the City, there's a one-off. Never seen this played in a deck before, but choose target land, create 3 tokens that are copies of it, except they're 3/3 creatures in additions, and they also have Vigilance and Menace just for a bit of extra spice as well. Top end, Etali, great, and Atraxa. But this is Etali and Atraxa deck that is different to any ones you've seen before. The mass removal, because obviously we're running caves, we've got lots of different caves near Sunken, we've got Volatile, Cavernous Maw that can turn into a 3/3 creature and just start battering down. This is a really good uncommon, this one. And then various other ones as well, which is why the cave in, X damage to each creature and each planeswalker really does help out in this deck, because we don't really run a lot of creatures at all. So 4 creatures in there, the 2 Atalis and the 2 Atraxas in this deck. So you're going to need to ramp up a bit. You're going to need removal. Glimpse the Core can go and get that forest card for us, or return a cave card, graveyard, back to the battlefield. Tapped is very good as well. Spelunking, ends the battlefield, draw a card, put a land card from your hand onto the battlefield as well. If it's a cave, get that 4 life, help against those aggro decks. Big Score is a nice bit of ramp. You have to discard a card, but like I said, you've got Glimpse the Core in there, so you can maybe discard one of your caves, get that back with Glimpse the Core as well, put it back onto the battlefield. Big Score comes in, draws 2 cards, creates 2 treasure tokens. The deck is cool, trust me. Cosmium Confluence. I'm thinking of crafting this deck, I must admit, because I haven't got any of these and I think it's a really cool card. You may choose the same mode more than once, so search it over for that cave card. 3/1 counters on a cave, so it turns into an elemental with haste, so a bit of a beatdown, and also can destroy target enchantment as well. It has removal, but other than the calamity, sorry, I can't speak today. First video back, and I'm butchering names. You know what to expect. Go for the throat removal. Sheldridge Edict is in there as a single of as well. We've also got a soul transfer as well. Ixalan is good with this, and you can return target creature or planeswalker card from the graveyard to the hand, which is helpful when we're only running these 4 creatures, and these 2 creatures are really big winning creatures, so it'd be good to get them back. A single Rowan's Grim Search. If a spell was bargain, look at the top 4 cards, then put up 2 of them back in the top of the library in any order and rest in your graveyard. Draw 2 cards, lose 2 life, but at instant speed, and yeah, just an interesting card that I've never tried before, and it seems pretty good on the face of it and reading that card as well. This deck, different. I know a lot of you love the 0 rare Caves deck that I put together. This is a way to upgrade it in a different way, play something a bit different. One of my favourite cards in Standard at the moment is Virtue of Persistence. I love getting this down there. Early removal, bit more removal, and then getting the 7 mana in there. If you're clearing the field with lots of creatures with your cave-ins and you go for the throats, then this can then potentially get you a winner from your opponent onto the battlefield. But yeah, this is a really cool deck. Caves is super, super fun. Give it a try if you got the cards, and then tell me how you do with it. So the next deck we have is a Dragons deck. A lot of people like these type of decks, you know, like goblins, dragons, fairies. So dragons are always very popular. And this has some cards that I definitely have not played with in Standard. So maybe a deck that I would be very interested in playing, potentially crafting, as I know it's got some good results for the creator as well. Roaming Throne, one of the cards that I really liked from this set. War 2 goes well in these type of, you know, any type of dragons, fairies, tribal decks like that. Comes in War 2 as well, so a bit harder to sort of get rid of, and it has that ability of when a triggered ability of another creature you control the chosen type comes in, it triggers an additional time. So cards like Tyrant of Care Ridges, when it enters the battlefield, deals 4 damage to any target. It will trigger a different time as well, so that is absolutely brilliant. And of course this is a massive beta as well. Realm Scorch Hellkite, Flying Haste, when this enters the battlefield, if it was bargain, add 4 mana in any combination of colours. Another big beating dragon as well. So the top end of this has some real powerful creatures. Bonehorde Dinosaur, we've seen this in a lot of dino decks, but in a dragon deck seems good. Flying First Strike, really good mythic card. Beginning rep card, you get to exile the top 2 cards, you may play them. If you exile a land card, create a 3/1 dino as well. So very sweet. And it runs Leech Knight's Conquest. This was very popular at one point. This means you can sacrifice any number of artifacts or enchantments or tokens and return that many creature cards from the graveyard to the battlefield. So we do have ways to, you know, we have cards that can be sacrificed, like Buried Treasure. This can be sacked if we want to, and you know, there's other ways that we can do this. You've also got a Roaming Throne if you decide to. But then when you do that, you get to return that many creatures to the battlefield, and the type of creatures that we have, like Realm Scorcher, that's Haste, and then Tyrant, they are such big beaters. That Sushi as well, Flying Trample. When this dies, you get a triggered ability, makes tokens as well. And then Mana Form Hellkite. There's some really powerful dragons in Standard, and I think this deck, this is why it's, you know, it's really roguey, really off meta, and people will not be prepared for this type of deck. Flying is great evasion, can just go over the top, and if you can get to the late game with this, I think, you know, it's a very good mid-range deck. I think it can definitely get you some wins as well. Helpful against counter magic decks. It's got the Cavern of Souls in there. Yeah, but you are probably going to name the dragons. There's 9 of them in there. You don't want your dragons. They're the big powerful ones. You don't want them being countered, really. Else in the deck as well, we've got Invasion of Tarkir, a dragon-based card that reveal any number of dragons from your hand. When you do Invasion, deals 2 damage plus X to any other target, where X is the number of cards revealed. And then you can potentially flip it into the Thunderbolt, which is another 4/4 dragon that when it attacks deals 2 damage to any target. Invasion of Tarkir is a 4, a very, very good card. Into the Fire, a bit more removal, 2 damage to each creature. Planeswalker and Battle can help against those early creature heavy decks, the aggro decks. Potentially this can help. but sometimes by turn 3 or 4, you know, this sometimes can be a little bit too slow. So you can use it for the other ability of putting a number of cards from your hand on the bottom of the library, then draw cards is what I see this card as, because sometimes turn 3, 4 mono red's already beaten you. It's got a single Godrich in there, Invasion of Armankhet, which is milling cards, getting them into the graveyard, and then you'll be bringing them back potentially with Leech Knight's Conquest, which is another way if you can get some of these in there. You're not going to be too worried with the Armankhet because you get to discard, each opponent discards a card, you draw a card, and this will come in as a copy of any creature in that graveyard as well. So if there is graveyards in there, you've got ways to get, if there is dragons in there, you've got ways to get them back, and then you've got a card that will copy and potentially become one of them as well. Sarkon Soul of Flame. Dragon spells cost 1 less to cast, so helps with the cost a bit because they're expensive. They're 6 mana, stuff like that. And as an ability, whenever dragon enters the battlefield under control, you may have Sarkon become a copy of it until end of term, and it's legendary in addition to his other types as well. So there's a lot going on in this deck. There is big dragon creatures flying over the top. There's graveyard recursion. There's a bit of mill. There's just a lot going on. It's a very different type of deck, and which is why I think it's done so well, is that people aren't ready for this type of deck. So give it a try if you can. I'm missing quite a few cards from this one. I have opened so many packs, and not pulled any Cavern of Souls. I mean, that is just unbelievable. I mean, I suppose I could use my 9,000 coins and go for it again, but yeah, it's painful. Very, very painful. A lot of rare lands in this, though. This is a very, very rare heavy deck, but powerful, off meta, something different. And if you like dragons, give it a go. Last deck we have is Angels. I really like Angels. It's basically mono white, but it does run 2 of these. Sigarda, Font of Blessings, other permanents you control of Hexproof, which is really cool for this Angel. I think it's worth splashing in there. You may look at the top card of your library anytime, cast Angel spells from the top as well. So it's a very good card that I think it is worth splashing the green to get in there. Of course, this deck runs 4 Cavern of Souls because it's a creature type deck, and this is all Angels. Total in the deck is 15 Angels, so you're getting a good, 22 creatures, 15 Angels. You're getting a good pound for your buck there with the Cavern of Souls being in there. Has a bit of ramp in there, Ambitious Farmhand, because there is some, bigger stuff in here. You got Angel of Wrath that you really like to do the kicker with if you can, which is why it runs the other types of lands like Jetmir, Rafine's Tower, because you want to be able to cast that kicker. So even though it's mono white, you still want the ability to cast those kicker costs and do damage, because it really can get rid of Planeswalkers, get rid of something else, or just finish an opponent off as well. Other than that deck, you're seeing it again with the Great Roaming Throne. In this deck, you're going to get, if you're going to play any type of decks like Fairies, like I said, Angels, anything like that, this Roaming Throne has to be in there. It's just a really cool card and can, just be good if anything entering the battlefield, like a Sanctuary Warden. Enter battle with 2 shield counters. Maybe it triggers again. Enter battle or attacks. You may remove a counter from a creature you control. If you do, draw a card, create that token. So Roaming Throne's going to do a bit of work there also as well. So a triggered ability of another creature. Angel triggers, making that damage as well. Inspiring Overseer, ends battle, gain a life, and draw a card. So lots of good action of gaining life, drawing cards in this deck. And of course, it wouldn't be an Angel deck if it didn't have Gaiada in there. This is one of my commanders. I love this. Talking of a different format. Flying Vigilance. Each Angel you control ends battle for additional 1/1 counter, so buffs them all up as well. And you can add a white mana, spend this only to cast an Angel spell. So plenty of ways to do that as well. Removal, Ossification, Lay Down Arms. Mono white has really good removal. Doesn't run any Wraths or anything like that in this deck, which is interesting. I thought it might run a couple, but it doesn't. It says it doesn't need them. It's got good results, so it doesn't need them. It doesn't need them. It's got the life gain it needs, and then it will just use the evasion to fly over the top. Restoration of Ganjo's in there as a 4/of, makes a non-angel, makes a Fox Monk, but this is just good. Searching your library, getting that planes into hand for 3 mana, discard a card, maybe return a permanent card, so you've got potentials to get your Gaiadas, your Ambitious back into the battlefield as well. And then strip it over, becomes the Fox Monk, and then makes 3/4. And so just a sweet card, and is seen in all the mono white decks. This is a cool card. I'm literally a couple of cards away, if you don't, Cavern of Souls as well, from building this deck. I think I might craft this. I'm going to have to bite the bullet. I've had so many packs and never got Cavern of Souls. So if I can get I've got 15 Mythics, that's all I've got. It's a lot, I know, but when you look at the times, when you look at how many rares I got, if I could just trade in those rares for some mythics, I would love to do that. Maybe 2 rares for a mythic. Would they ever want to do that, Watsy? I don't think they would. The economy is a total another video to talk about. But yeah, I do like Angels. I play it in Commander, like I said, and I think this is a deck that I think you do really, really well with. So there was 5 rogue off meta decks for you today. Give them a try. Start the new year off playing something different and let me know which ones have done really well for you and which ones you're going to try down in the comments down below. If you've got any yourself, put them down there. Put the list down there. I know it'll be a pain to type out, but just do that old copy and paste and let everyone else see some of the rogue brews that you're playing. And yeah, giving everyone a chance to give your deck a go and let you know how it does for them. Thanks to everyone that's watched the video today. If you can give it a thumbs up and subscribe, that really does help out a lot. Check out my sponsors, Cardmarket. If you want to get any of these decks and take them to your FNM, you can go and get all your paper cards from them. And if you want to support me that much further, start the year off by becoming a Total MTG Patreon. I would appreciate that so much. And thank you to everyone that does. Anyway, you lot take care, and I'll see you on the next video.